Hey everyone, today I'm going to give you my 10 tips for your antique booth. So we're going to go through 10 things that I think would be helpful when you're setting up an antique booth or if you've had one for a while. Just a few things I've noticed around the store and what I use, most of the things I used to do when I had just my own little antique store too. So let's get started. Okay, so the first tip is put like items together. So if you have a lot of dishes in your antique booth, or you have a lot of like cookie jars or cream and sugar, or old pop bottles, things like that, put them all together. Because there are collectors that are looking for certain things, like they're looking for carnival glass, or they're looking for jadeite, and if they have to search your whole booth and there's just stuff here and on that side and in the back and on the top shelf and the bottom, I mean, they're not going to look very long. They're just going to get tired of looking and they're going to walk by. I mean, some people are hardcore and will stay, but most people that come into antique malls are browsing. So they need to see something. So like, yeah, if they collect red Pyrex and they walk past your booth and they see that all your Pyrex is together in one area, they're going to stop and they're going to look for red. And they might buy something else that's not red, but you never know. So keep your like items together. That, if you don't have like items, then at least put like colors together. So put everything that's kind of brown together. Put all your red stuff together. Put all white. White is a popular color for any kind of antique, and clear. Put those together. And that'll really make your booth not only look better, but will help the customers find maybe what they're looking for. Tip number 2 is don't overcrowd your booth. So I know you only have a limited amount of space and you want to fill it up because, the more things you have, the more chances are that you're going to make a sale. But kind of the opposite is true sometimes. If you're too crowded and it's just literally, jammed packed full of stuff, it makes it, again, hard for customers to see all that stuff because there's just so much to look at. So try not to overcrowd your booth. It's a fine line where you want to have enough product to make it worthwhile, but still allow customers to, feel like they can step in. Our booths here at the Tin Chicken are only 3 feet deep. So technically here you can see I could stand here in the aisle and reach the back wall there very easily. But if there's stuff on the floor there, I'm not going to want to reach to the back. I'm going to just look, and it'd have to be something pretty special to make me step over, or, I would be scared of maybe, breaking something. I don't want to pay for stuff that I don't want to buy. So, overcrowding can be a problem. If you have your booth set up, like I talked about in tip 1, all your stuff together, a little bit extra in your booth then is fine, because people know like all the dishes are here, all your antique tools are in this spot, and then they don't mind looking then. All right. Another thing about overcrowding is think of your favorite store. So it doesn't have to be like a ladies' wear store, hardware stores, sporting goods stores, big chain stores. Like, how do they have their things set up? Do they have everything like jammed in so that you can't find something? No, they have it set up so if you need light bulbs, you go where the light bulbs are, right? If you're looking for shoes, you go to where the shoes are. And that's how it is. So think about how retail stores set up their displays and try to, take some ideas from that. I already touched on number 3 a little bit, and that's leave space for people to step in. Like I said, our booths here are not very deep and it's easy to reach even from the aisle. But if you just leave a little bit of space where someone can step in, it doesn't have to be a ton of room so that they can get a closer look at the items that are on the wall, or just, especially if it's a piece of furniture, they want to, check it out, make sure it's sturdy. Just leave a little bit of room for your customers to step in. Number 4, add some lights to your booth. Like, you might think that this is not necessary, you know, the lighting in the store is pretty good. It's not too shadowy in your booth, but honestly, if you add a lamp, some lights, you know, it really makes it feel more homey, you know, because you have lamps at home and, you know, your living room, it's cozy, right? Or your bedroom. And so it's important to add a lamp. It just makes everything look better. And if you have some shadowy areas, you know, because there will be shadowy areas when you have a lot of stuff in there, you know, there's boards across the top here, so you know you're going to have a shadowy space, and in the shadows things get lost, so you don't want that to happen. I'm just going to go on this side. You know, there's some more great lighting in this booth right here. Have a look up there. She's got stuff at the top. She's got tons of lighting there. So yeah, it's really important to add some lights to your booth. Okay, number 5 is don't put things on the floor if they don't belong on the floor. Don't put dishes on the floor. Don't put jars on the floor. You know, if it wouldn't live on the floor at your house or what its intentional purpose was, please try not to put it on the floor in your booth. It just makes it kind of yard sale-ish, you know, like where you're just filling in stuff and you don't really care how it looks. So, you know, tools can go on the floor, toys can go on the floor. If you think you really need to put it on the floor, try getting like a wooden crate, turn it upside down, and then put your bowls on there, because that will make it a lot better than just sitting right on the concrete floor. I mean, it just doesn't look good, right? So if it doesn't usually live on the floor, then don't put it there. Number 6 is, if you can, set up little vignettes of your items. So like this vendor here, she has this beautiful old antique dresser, and so on the dresser she has things that you might normally find on a dresser. Or, you know, there's dishes on there and a kitchen scale, so maybe this dresser would look really cute in your dining room as a, you know, as a hutch. So she has some items on there both like for a bedroom and for a dining room, and it really helps the customers see different ways they can use things. It's not always possible to set up a vignette, you know, depending on your items, but if you can, it really is helpful. Tips 7 to 10 are more about you than how to set up your booth. So number 7 is that you have to love your booth and you have to be willing to put the work into it. So you can't just, you know, this isn't a garage sale where you just slap on some tags of cool old stuff you have and you bring it in and you drop it off and you hope you make enough sales not only to pay your rent but to, you know, make it worthwhile. So you got to do the work. You know, you have to take the time, you know, do some research, how to set up things so, like we talked about, so it makes it appealing for customers. You know, practice your pricing. Not everybody can come in during the day. So here at the Tin Chicken, I allow vendors to come in anytime during business hours and work on their booth. But, you know, people have jobs during the day, so they can't. I have 2 vendor nights a month. Well, it's every other week, so sometimes there's 3. But, you know, so if you can't make it during then, you know, give me a call. I'm more than willing to come down and let you work on your booth. You know, there's always things for me to do here too. So don't feel like you're putting me out. But you have to do the work, right? You can't just dump and go. That's not going to work, and you're not going to be happy with your sales, and customers are not going to like how your booth looks, and so they probably won't buy very much from you. So you have to do the work. Number 8 goes with number 7, and I've talked about this lots before, and I always tell my vendors, you have to move things around. Try to aim for, you know, once a month or 6 weeks at the most. So you have to move your items around if you're not bringing in a ton of new items. And, you know, even if you are bringing in new items, if everything looks the same, people are going to walk by. I get a lot of regular customers, and like I mentioned, probably 90% of people that come in here are just browsing. So they're just looking. And my regular customers, I get quite a few that come every week, and they walk by if nothing has changed. So don't just move the small items around, which is important, but sometimes you have to do a little bit more work and move your shelves and stuff around. So if your shelf is on the left, and it's been there for 6 weeks or, 2 months, then take everything off, put it in the back maybe, or put it on the right-hand side and completely, rethink how your things are set up. Don't forget to put stuff together that belongs together, and don't put things on the floor that's not supposed to be there. So number 8 again is move stuff around. It's important. Number 9 is pricing. Now, a lot of people think that it's hard to price things, right? So they think if they price a little bit high, then they can always come down. But actually, I find that probably the opposite is a better way to go. So price your things a little bit lower. And then customers will be excited that things don't cost an arm and a leg, right? Again, pricing is difficult. If you paid for the item, you need to make your money back. But instead of what most retail places do is at least, 100 to 150% markup or more, so if you paid $20 for an item, instead of charging $40 or $45, maybe start out at $35 or even $30. So you're going to get your money back and you made $10. Don't start too high, because if the customers know that the prices in your booth are a little bit too high, even if you lower them, they might not stop to notice that. So start a little bit lower and go up. Don't be too low. If your prices are too low, then, you're not only being taken advantage of, is that sometimes people think that the items are cheap and then they won't buy them either. I've had items where I had a smoking good deal. I tell everybody this story. So it was a antique cast iron stove. I bought it at an auction for $10. And I was like, great, I'll be able to sell this. Someone will be so happy I had it for sale for $80. And I thought that was a smoking deal. And lots of people loved it, but nobody was interested at $80. So I raised the price to $120 and then it sold. So, that's a true story. So it's a fine line, right? But if you price things a little bit lower, customers will get to know that your prices are reasonable and they'll stop and look. Okay, so finally we made it to number 10. So my number 10 tip is your tags. Please make your tags nice. Again, it's not a garage sale where you just quickly slap on a number, your booth number and the price, and it says Red Bowl and it's $10. Take a little bit of time to write out your tags nicely. If you know anything about the item, please put it on your tag. It really helps, If it's from the 20s, put that on. If you know any history, like where it came from originally, or always put that on your tag. So sometimes your tags have to be bigger. Sometimes your tags can just be small. Don't just have one size fits all. Sorry, I'm kind of walking around, trying not to trip on things. Yeah, and when you adhere your tags to your items, they have to be easy to remove, but they also have to look nice. So, try to use nice string. Don't just use like baler twine. Try to, again, make your, use your best handwriting, or printing is even better because, some younger people can't read cursive, so they won't know what it is. And try not to use tape. If you must use tape, what I always suggest, especially for like pictures and things, there's actually one here I'm going to show you. So if you have a photo or a painting, don't tape the price tag on the front of the frame. It doesn't look good, and people are worried that the tape is going to ruin the finish. So if you have something, tape it on the back. with your string tag and have the tag either hang over the front like this. I'm going to show you this one right here. So yeah, the tag is taped at the back and the string hangs over, and then everything's on here. Or what you can do is you can do the same thing, like maybe you could tape the tag back here with the string hanging down and the tag here, right? Never put your tape here. It just doesn't look good. Try to have all your tags the same color if you can, and make them appropriate size. So if you have a small item, like a little salt and pepper shaker, don't have a giant tag on there, right? You don't need that. Cut it down, or just use pieces of paper. That's what I do for a lot of my stuff. I use paper, I cut it the size I need. First I write on what it is, then I cut it out, and I have a hole punch, and I punch it for my string, and sometimes I'll put, you know, those little paper stick-on reinforcements for holes, put those on, then put it on my item. It's all the same color, it's the same handwriting, it always looks good. So that's my big thing about tags, I guess. Okay, that was my 10 tips for your antique booth. If anyone has any more tips they'd like to share, just feel free to put them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be doing another one real soon. Thanks!